Now, speaking of positivity, something that is a divisive topic is QuickTime events. Some people really hate them, and other people have mixed feelings. I think I feel like that's
fair. I love QuickTime events.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I do.
You're so positive about everything.
What can I say? I love video games.
I think QuickTime events are the video game equivalent of jump scares in that they are cheap and they jump up at you.
So yeah,
and I don't handle them well. I get stressed.
So I will say that like I love QuickTime events when they're executed properly. When they're just thrown in there, just shoveled in there to shovel them in there, no. But if you get them in a big game like, say, Asura's Wrath, which has very big moments that are very much about like doing these over-the-top big things that is outside of the normal gameplay, I think it's great. I think it's a great use of them.
Well, we need to make this whole conversation a QuickTime event. And Josh, I believe you have something prepared for us. How are we doing this?
Yeah, so I think everybody has some sort of a signal device that will...
Akeem, I'm sorry we didn't have time to...
There we go. I don't know which one's going to mean what. You can have something for agree or disagree.
I was going to do... I don't know. We didn't really plan... You can see these are horribly...
Yeah.
Second graders.
Akeem, what do you got
for us?
I mean, I got a mic that echoes.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so Akeem will bring out the red mic if he thinks that this is a good QuickTime event.
This looks like the world's worst auction. For those of you listening at home, we have ping pong paddles with PlayStation buttons crudely taped onto them, but they're not all the same. I have the face buttons.
I have an R3 as well as the triggers, and then also a couple of face buttons.
Yeah, so we're kind of playing with a half a deck right now.
Okay, so let's do for you guys, if it's an X button, you guys think it's a good QuickTime event, and if you don't think it's a good one, you'll do square.
Okay.
You both have square.
I'm just gonna...
and then you can use the other one if you feel like it's something in between, and then explain later. But I think the reason we're talking about this is because the Resident Evil 4 remake won't have the QuickTime, or it will.
It will,
but I think not into the degree of what we're used to or expected from the previous releases.
Okay. Well, let's start with that. Resident Evil 4, let's see like an example of a QuickTime event from that game and see if you guys think it's a good one or not. Red, could you please roll the clip? All right, this is the famous boulder chase where you have to mash square to sprint as Indiana Jones style a boulder is running towards you. What do you guys think? You don't think this is a good one. You don't think it's a good one. And Akeem thinks it's a good one. Akeem, minority here.
I was going to use this for no.
For no. Okay, so you all disagree. This is a bad QuickTime event. Why?
I was just pushing the buttons.
You're mashing square.
I'm mashing square and then L2, R2 to the last second dodge.
Yeah.
That's the buttons.
I think this is a bad one, but I love it.
Okay, explain.
I feel like Resident Evil is very good at taking things that are super scary and being like, oh, they're scary. Like, I don't know, RE4 is like a greatest hits of various movie monsters, but given us kind of bootleg coat of paint, as well as all sorts of just generic horrors and phantasms. And then there's a big rock, and you have to run away from the big rock by pressing square fast enough and then dodging out of the way at the last minute. And it's just, I mean, they're clearly doing the Indiana Jones thing, but again, it's a big rock. It's just weird. It's just it seems like it's a game full of silly things. And again, it's bad, but I love it.
Also, on my second playthrough, I would like to just use my rocket launcher to blow up the rock instead.
Well,
do it.
Well, it's also bad because, I mean, why are you hitting square? Aren't boulders circles?
But the square is the enemy of the circle.
Speaking of boulders, let's move on to the next clip. RE5. Also, we got some more boulders here with the QuickTime event.
They really like their boulders,
not a very
apparently.
quick time event.
Yeah,
there we go.
There he is. He's mashing square again, but this time to push a boulder, then to roll around the analog stick to keep pushing, and then X to give it a right hook, and then circle to give it a right hook, and then X to give it a right hook, then a square to give it a right hook, and then he just punches the boulder. All right. How do you guys feel about this one? Triangle. This is somewhere in between.
I think that means
somewhere in between.
Quick time event.
Akeem, you're not a big fan of this?
Yeah, I mean, I did both. So yes, for the smoke machine means yes, and then the mic means no.
Okay. We're on a tight ship here. This is a good. We're doing. This is really.
What makes this a bad QuickTime event?
So this is partially good. This is partially good. I'll start with the bad part. The part that you have to like keep. You're pushing the rock. You're pushing the rock by hitting the square button. I think that sucks. But when we're talking about memes, this really took off when Chris decided to give that bad boy a couple of firm punches. Right, like the internet took off with that right there. That seismic punch.
Yeah,
that's why it's good. Right there.
That's what makes it good.
This was his casting audition to get into Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. This is what got him into it. Like, for sure.
Exactly.
I like this. I think this reads like a direct response to anybody who criticized the boulder in RE4, and the devs were like, "Oh, you didn't like that? Well, how about this? Shut up. Press square. F you. Go to hell. Like, punch the boulder."
I just, to Akeem's point of it being like it becoming meme worthy, it is super meme worthy. It's just so ludicrous to punch a boulder and expect it. Like, this whole scene, I remember playing this scene, and it's just so ludicrous. It's ridiculous. So,
well, my problem with this scene is that you use multiple buttons to do the same action. Like, I feel like as a rule for a QuickTime event, right? You should just stick to one button for one move and just do that.
I think all games should only have one button that you have to press the entire time.
Oh yeah, me too.
I think they should have 78 different buttons that we press
You would like
at all times.
a keyboard.
Well, okay, so both
PC
like,
gamer here.
for both Resident Evils here, you guys kind of gave it a pass because it's a little bit silly, and Resident
Sucks,
Evil's a
but we
little
love
silly.
it.
Yes. What about a game that's like supposed to be serious and you have QuickTime events that are serious? Can we pull up the next clip, please, Red? It is called Heavy Rain.
Ethan.
This is the famous chase through the market. The clip we're showing is where he fails every QuickTime event, and as a player, I think that if you were to fail these, you would feel frustration, right? You're supposed to connect with this character and be like, wow, I'm very frustrated. I can't catch this guy. I keep messing up. Especially, I should have gotten more grippier shoes as he slips on the ice. Is this a good QuickTime event or not?
You mean this particular event or Heavy Rain the entirety of the game, which is mostly QuickTime events?
I mean, this one in particular. We'll go with this one in particular. Do you think this is a good use of QuickTime events? Yes. And Akeem?
No.
Why not?
No. This is frustrating. Even if you get it, if you get it right, if you get it wrong, like this is just frustrating. Like, this reminds me, I'm having flashbacks to when my first QTE game, and that was Indigo Prophecy, and it was horrible. I hated playing that game because of all the QuickTime events that were in it. I don't like this. I'm not a fan of this, the way that they do it in Heavy Rain. Although this is comical, what we're watching right now,
So
guy just failing at every turn.
I'll give this one credit because it does have repercussions, which are hilarious, which is good. I mean, what I hate is when QuickTime events, when you fail them, it's just that's it. It's just like you lose. In this case, he still catches up to the guy. He just looks like an idiot doing it. Like he like accomplishes his goal, which again is sort of flies in the face of the whole point of Heavy Rain's like, choose your own adventure narrative pathways or whatever. But like, I don't know. It's very funny to me that like this is like the outtakes from a movie. The movie still gets made though. Like they just like, oh, so we did 27 takes and that was the best one. Like this dude just
You need that Benny Hill music playing right now.
Oh yeah, it would work great.
I think I like this one also because from a gameplay perspective, nothing is more infuriating than having to catch an NPC that their whole goal is to run from you in a game and like not getting that grab command to go properly when you have to do it yourself. So I appreciate them just taking that portion out of the equation for me.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing with Heavy Rain is that even if you fail it, the story continues. It's not game over, right? It's not
Correct.
do or die. But there are some games where the QuickTime event is do or die. Red, can you pull up the next clip, please? It is from Spider-Man.
poetry.
We're not hearing audio for this, but you're hitting spacebar to just jump around a fiery building, and then he has to save a scientist attached to a bomb, and you have to click the scroll wheel at the right moment to do it, and if not, you explode, and the scientist says, "I'm gonna die," before the whole building explodes. Is this a good QuickTime event or not? No, yes, and yes for Akeem, I think. What?
Sure, I'll give it to him. Yeah, I'll say yes.
Okay, what makes it a bad QuickTime event? Max?
I mean, again, I think bad QuickTime, like we're talking about them. The worst ones are where they do what they're supposed to do. They're just annoying in the game, and there's nothing exciting to write home about. I will give this one credit for being amazingly bad. But I love that he just face plants. Like they really were like they failed the QuickTime event of animating that sequence. Like
Right.
That's not even like a compelling. I don't know, like Spider-Man just face planting.
Yeah.
I don't think. Can you even do that?
I don't
in
think
most
you can do
Spider-Man,
that normal.
he just lands.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
only
so much more coordinated when he's swinging across buildings, but suddenly now he.
Time event
He becomes the
just-
Wile E. Coyote.
This QuickTime event just always makes me bust up laughing. I love the idea of Spider-Man just faceplant.
Yeah. No, I think if he T-posed, it would be more believable. Like seeing him just go fully on the ground is just like that's yeah.
I honestly don't know what happens if you do this successfly. I've only.
No one cares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
I
is
think
the
the
best one.
scientist
He defused the
grows
bomb.
upper eyelids. That's what happens. Find a cure for that. Those terrible. Like, look at that face.
Can we not look at that face? I don't want, for those of you listening at home, you're having a great time because you don't have to see this scary surprised woman. Awful.
Let's see the newest Spider-Man game. How they did QuickTime events with Spider-Man Miles Morales. Check this one out. You are, riding Rhino, trying to steer him out of like hurting other people through a shopping mall. Nice long slow-mos, nice satisfying button presses to hit. Good QuickTime event, bad QuickTime event.
Oh, this is easily
Easy.
good
Yeah,
one.
but Max somewhere in between.
I don't know. When I think of all the stuff I love about Insomniac's Spider-Man games, it's not the QuickTime events.
Really?
And the fact that you can completely just turn them off, I put them in the same category as like the little lab puzzles you have to do.
Right.
Where like, I don't know, they're kind of padding. I mean, I guess they're more exciting than just a cutscene, but they're also not like a full-fledged sequence.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, that's what most QuickTime events are, right? It's like basically a cutscene that you interact with in a way. But when it comes to video games and like immersion, right? Isn't kind of the point to do something and your character does it? And like during QuickTime events, do you not feel that effect?
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this one.
Whoa.
I don't know.
a little
He's ruining all. He's at the shopping mall during Christmas time. All these people are out getting their presents. He throws the
saving a
baby
baby.
carriage.
Yeah.
Well,
He
as
just-
a
I mean,
He's
parent,
got a
I don't
big
like it.
Rhino man. He's trying to save people.
Yeah. Well, Akeem, in defense of this QuickTime event, what do you think makes it like appropriate or good?
It's I think it's great. Like, and this was the way that they kind of like started off the game. I feel like these are very just satisfying QuickTime events. I love the fact that it kind of just slows down a little bit for you. And again, like you were saying, to your point, Josh, I think it's great when you get to interact with like the more cinematic portions of the video game. This game does it well. Miles Morales. I think God of War does it well, in my opinion. So I don't know. I don't see Max. I don't see what's the problem here. It seems like you were trying to put the blame on Miles. He's saving people's lives.
I'm putting the blame on the developers. I think they were lazy. You can't go into any of the stores and check out all of the sales going on. You can't buy
So
your
that's
presents
what
for
it
your
is.
friends.
Not enough immersion.
You wanted
need
Miles to make
more.
some quick time purchases. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I want to find some
Okay, I see.
quick deals.
Yeah, it's Ennis.
No, I do think it's weird that Sony, I guess, has started with first-party games. There's a lot of QuickTime events at the top.
Yeah.
Like Ragnarok opens with that weird sled thing, and like I mean, I guess it's exciting, but it kind of like it's. I like it when games when they hit the ground running with like the actual gameplay, not so much like walk and talks, not so much cutscenes, not so much QuickTime events. I guess in all of those, QuickTime events are preferable, but I don't know. This is a multiple QuickTime. This keeps going. It's not like you're in the middle of doing something and it's like one cutscene that pops up and then there's a QuickTime event and then it goes back to gameplay. Which this is kind of a drawn out scenario here.
Yeah.
And I have a theory about this. I think the reason they do that is because they just want to set the standard that there's going to be a lot of these types of moments throughout
Right.
the game. So like up front, you can either check out in the beginning or just keep on powering through. There's going to be a bunch of these QTEs.
I think it's also a way of them showcasing just like the power your character has. Like, this is how cool and how powerful your character is. Look at like what they can do to put on display, what they can put on display for their abilities. And they do it by making it look as stylish as possible to really get you to buy in and like the character.
Yeah. And then we brought it up earlier, but let's take a look at how God of War did it. I mean, God of War is also a similar super narrative single player driven game. And here's when they did again early in the game as well. When Freya attacks you as you and Atreus are sledding in the snow, you just mash circle. In this scenario that we're showing, he doesn't escape, and Freya kills him.
I died here. I died because I started the game and I thought it was a cutscene and I was eating 2 corn dogs. You can't play
Yeah,
a
you
game
can't
where
put down.
yeah.
You can't put down a corn dog just to hit circle.
I could have just had one corn dog and I might have lived, but I didn't. I died.
Corn dogs, the leading death of leading video game.
It's not a
death
good
cause.
gamer food unless you 3D print some apparatus that mounts them on the controller. That's a story for another day, though.
I mean, bringing up mashing a button as a QuickTime event, do you guys feel like that's a good use of QuickTime?
I think mashing is not great, you know?
Really?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I agree that mashing is not a great QuickTime use of QuickTime events, mostly because also it makes it more difficult if they don't have the accessibility features baked in. God of War did a lot of accessibility features for the game, and they did like a lot, and they did an amazing job with them. I didn't check this cutscene with the accessibility settings to see how that worked out, though. So like that's something I personally need to go back and check. I'm sure there probably are settings. They were very accessibility forward, but mashing in general is definitely a very tough thing in the accessibility community.
I'm going to say, yeah, in terms of accessibility, as long as they give the option to not mash,
Yeah.
I think it's great. But I think mashing does a really good job when it comes to like immersiveness. Like anytime they have like mashing happening, it's supposed to be these moments of high tension, right? And like, you know, it happens again in God of War when Kratos is trying to stop Thor from, you know, pushing his hammer into his face. Or I mean, even with the boulder stuff, right, with Resident Evil, you're like mashing a button and there's no other real mechanics in a controller where you can be like, okay, I just need to do one repetitive thing. And if they're kind of try to do something immersive, mashing a button as hard
I
as
mean,
you
I think
can
mashing is a direct response to what people do when they're panicking in a game.
Right,
They
yeah.
looked at like, what do people, they just go, "Ugh," and it's like, what if that's what they are supposed to do? I like the ones where you have to, I mean, I don't, I'm what like Miles was doing where you have to drag the sticks into a certain spot and then hit something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to like line everything up.
Aiming,
Yeah.
Oh, to aim the like web shooter thing.
Yeah, where you like you
Yeah.
drag the sticks into like little circles and then you gotta,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
we could try something that's not button related. There is a game that came out called Tomb Raider Anniversary, I believe. They had QuickTime events. Here you go. You just, I think you swipe on the analog stick in the right direction.
That's just Dragon's Lair though. I don't know.
What's wrong with Dragon's Lair?
I played my friend got a Sega CD and I played this game called Road Avenger. Which opens with like this incredible, like hand-drawn, like extremely low resolution, you know, anime sequence. And you're like, wow. And then it starts you in the game. And I was like, all right, I'm going to be driving this car. And it's actually just like a FMV game about a car.
Yeah.
And so you know how a car goes back and forth on the road, and if it doesn't, it crashes.
Yeah.
That's the game.
Oh.
So like you drive for 3 seconds, and then an arrow pops up, and if you don't hit it fast enough, you just crash into the wall.
Huh.
It's very bad. It's
Well-
very, very bad. But it's interesting. I mean, it's that. I don't know. They made a cutscene and then they chopped it up and added some little prompts there.
Also,
Yeah.
doesn't this NPC kind of look like budget Vanilla Ice? Like he's just making all the appearances lately.
If you're listening without video, it's budget Vanilla Ice. Akeem, how do you feel about this QuickTime event?
I don't like this one at all. I don't know why Lara Croft is going after like these 90s has-been rappers right now. What we're seeing on our screen, and also it's just I don't know. It seems kind of weak because it also seems like you're not actually doing anything.
Right.
You're just swiping up. Is that it? Like I don't.
You're swiping
I don't
up,
think
you're
you feel the
swiping left,
Yeah, I'd
satisfaction.
say it's a
down.
bad one.
Ooh.
Bad.
Yeah,
Press
definitely
triangle.
a
It
bad
just,
one.
I feel like I agree with Akeem. I don't feel like the button prompts on screen match the action that's really going on.
Yep.
Not enough, at least.
And I feel like it's a little inconsistent as well. Like you're able to control Lara Croft doing all these things, but then you see her, you know, dive behind a rock and then run and shoot the guy again, and you aren't prompted to do any of those.
Yeah.
There needs to be consistency in our QuickTime events. And can we bring up?
And in that scene, by the way, I expected a lot more from Jamie Kennedy. Wasn't that Malibu's Most Wanted? Wasn't
Yes,
that
that
a scene
was-
from the movie?
That looks, yes.
No. Oh, it wasn't? Okay. I retract that reference.
We'll bring it back to. Actually, you know what? We'll do one more here where it's not so much about, you know, even mashing a button or just hitting the right button. It's about timing. We're gonna look at Yakuza 0 here. Max,
Oh, yeah.
can you tell us what is the context?
Yeah, so it's the telephone club, which is a thing that I think most people can. It's like a friendship phone sex hotline, something or other. It was very popular in the Japan in the 80s. Again, you can learn more about it in the hit game Yakuza 0. But yeah, basically you have to answer the phone real quick.
So right when the phone rings, you hit a button.
And then Kiryu just like yanks it off the receiver and then picks it up. And then he, in a very like radio friendly voice, is like, moshi moshi. You know, like it's very like dramatic. And I mean, I feel like Yakuza has a lot of really over the top QuickTime events.
Yeah.
And they're typically like, I don't know. I think they do it well. Like it'll be in like in the middle of a boss fight, you know, and it'll kind of like truncate like boss phases or whatever. And it's, in this case, they're clearly making fun of the fact that QuickTime events are silly and it's just completely over the top.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know. It's also, I think it's very easy to fail this one.
Like that's a quick timer.
Yeah. And he's just like, I don't know. The timer is also a fun addition where it like really, I feel like it really adds to the, it shows you exactly how quick the time is of the event. But I'm also, you could show me like a Yakuza game crashing and I'd be like, yeah, it's a great game. Look at it go. It's cool. I like it. Yakuza is a good series.
I think any game that, well, anytime they have a QuickTime event that could easily be its own standalone like Mario Party game, I think it's great. Like if it doesn't even mesh well with the story, as long as that like that part is fun, I think it'll like sell me. I think
I'm gonna go back on one of my answers from the Resident Evil 5 one. I think I said was a bad one. I think based on the Yakuza one and the Spider-Man one with him just face planting, the more absurd that the QuickTime event is, I think the better it is.
Yeah.
I think that's my new stance on QuickTime events.
Yeah, because the QuickTime event's gonna take you out of the game anyway.
Correct.
Like, might as well just go balls out. Let's make this weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
The weirder the better.
Boulders to the Wolders, as they say. Really.
Boulders to the Wolders. Speaking of weird, let's go end with this one.
Okay.
It's the weirdest one, maybe. Asura's Wrath, which we brought up earlier.
The game is all QuickTime events.
It is.
Yes.
It's like all it is.
And this is one where God pushes his finger onto Earth, and you have to stop.
You have to say,
finger.
knock it off up there.
And here you go.
having it.
It's great. I think this one is a perfect example of like mash a button to stop God's finger from crushing you.
Yeah, that's a good mashy one.
This is a great mashy
I mean, this
one.
game is also like it got some crap for it when it came out. People were like, it's just a game about QuickTime. It's just an anime that you press buttons during, and it's like, yeah, but that was it.
That was kind of the whole point. Like
they committed to it. You know,
Yeah.
they committed to the bit, and I don't know, like if it had been stuff that was just like sloppily inserted in another game, it's like that's another story entirely. But like, I don't know. I think QuickTime events, they have to be deliberate. You know, they can't just be like, we'll just tack it on there.
deliberate and absurd.
This got a whole meter showing you how hard you're pushing on God's finger with your little fists.
It's great.
Yep.
He's really punching that finger.
This is definitely one of those games where you do not button mash normally, where you set the controller down and you are one finger just up and down on the.
Pro tip for that: electric toothbrush. Just get it right up against the button. They go,
Oh, yeah.
I've never done that.
yeah, I did that to get a platinum in one of those bad games that we played.
Oh, the Spank the Rabbit or whatever.
Sure. Yeah. Anyway,
Is that what they're calling it these days?
Oh, wait, it was Stroke the something,
don't
right?
even talk
Whatever.
Yeah, that's even worse. What are we doing?
Well, that was a conversation about QuickTime events that was definitely not a quick time, but we had a good time, and that's the important part. So press circle in the comments below to let us know how you feel about QuickTime events, or I guess we're going to probably figure out a nice poll, which is kind of like a really slow QuickTime event if you think about it. One of those
That's
polls.
true.
Slowest
Yeah, you just
QuickTime event.
press what you feel. Anyway, if you enjoyed that, check out full episodes of Beyond, IGN's PlayStation shows. We goof around about everything PlayStation related, sometimes covering it seriously. New episodes drop every Tuesday on IGN.com or YouTube.com/IGN Games.